welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well and having a good day. If you're new over here, then my name's Ash. It's lovely to see you, and if you're coming back again, then welcome back. Now, today's video is going to be an update on my current diet and lifestyle plan I've been doing since the start of the year. I think over Christmas, even before that, lockdown and everything, I found the last few years particularly hard when it comes to keeping on track with a diet and so many bad habits that I've fallen into. So back in January, I started back on the Second Nature programme, and this used to be a 12-week programme that you would access on your phone. You'd have a coach that would update you on a group chat, and you'd also have members on there that you could speak to. You'd follow a diet, sort of like more like a lifestyle rather than diet, and there's loads of meals etc over on the Second Nature app. But now it's actually changed, so instead of being a 12-week programme, it's now a 1-year programme, and you also get the added benefit of having a one-to-one coach. So before it used to be like a group chat, imagine it like a WhatsApp group chat with all your friends on there that are also following the same programme. Now you have that, plus also a separate chat with the coach. So if there's something you want to ask on a one-to-one level, then you can do that. I think it's quite good if I'm having a day where I'm feeling a bit off and I really need the motivation. They send me over some articles to read and some ideas to go through, some questions to ask myself, and it really helps me to stay a bit more mindful and on my plan. So I thought I'd share with you what I eat in a day, because I think typically this is sort of what I tend to go for more often than not. And also some of the mindset aspects of the app as well that have really helped me to be a bit more in tune. So I'm going to show you what I eat in a day first, and then I'm going to pop back on screen and tell you all about the mindset stuff and how I'm trying to think more before I eat, and a lot of the tools that I've taken away and can apply to everyday life. When I wake up in the morning and head downstairs, I have any of my vitamins, and then I'll pop on my morning coffee. With the Second Nature programme, I've really tried to watch my caffeine intake, so this will probably be the only coffee that I have in the day. I try to stick to 1, at a maximum 2, but I don't have any coffee in the afternoon because it really does help with my sleep in the evening, but also it really helps me when it comes to my eating, and it stops me from snacking. There's definitely links between caffeine intake and food consumption, and in my head, coffees are often associated with having cake, so I try not to have any caffeine after my breakfast. Before I make breakfast, I'm going to show you what the app looks like. There's quite a lot to get through on it, which I actually really like. You've got a whole nutritional toolbox which you can go through and look at meal planning tips, healthy snacking. There's also a journal section in there so you can write down your thoughts and feelings. But one of the things I really find is beneficial is the articles section, because each week it unlocks 7 different articles, and it really helps to reprogram your mind and get through some of those mental barriers. So I'm going to make some porridge oats this morning for breakfast, something simple but really satisfying. I'm just making it with some semi-skimmed milk, and also having it nice and hot with some raspberries and some cinnamon. And this is the kind of thing I tend to have most mornings, because I can quickly eat it on the go, and I can also just walk around having this while the kids are at my feet. So I'm going to enjoy eating this, satisfy that sweet craving that sometimes I do get in the mornings, and also have a chat with the kids at the same time. 'Cause it won't be just waiting for... Before we know it, it's lunchtime, so I'm going to have my usual, which is scrambled eggs, avocado and tomatoes. Now, as you might know, I am not a massive tomatoes fan, but I do think it's one of those things that if you have them often enough, you'll eventually change your palate and your taste will change. And I really want to like them because I like a lot of things with hot tomatoes in it, so we're trying to overcome this. So I'm having tomatoes with some salt on and some pepper, also some avocado and some scrambled eggs. And actually before, I used to have this kind of meal and look at it and think it always looks like it's missing something. I think because we're so used to seeing carbs in the plate. So I'm trying to have less carbs because I had a carby breakfast. And topping my scrambled eggs with some chives really gives it a better flavour. Such a nice meal, and actually I decided to take a picture of this and pop it into the group chat so that it might give someone else some inspiration for the day, and of course plenty of water. Then moving on to dinner time, I'm going to just have a nice chicken stir fry. I'm using this big massive wok that I have to fry off some chicken breast, and I'm using some olive oil. Now, a lot of the Second Nature recipes call for full fat oils and spreads because they're really satisfying. So I'm going to have some of this chicken and some soy, ginger and garlic sauce, and have it with loads of vegetables. Now, obviously I could have this with some rice as well if I wanted to, but just now I'm going to have it as it is, and it was absolutely delicious, really healthy and really filling. Okay, so I think for me, one of the best parts about this programme that I'm following is that I don't feel like there's guilt associated with when I have something that's maybe not on the plan. So if I decided to have chocolate, or if I had a takeaway, or if I have something that's maybe not part of the programme, then I don't feel ridden with guilt because it's just one day, then we move back on again. So of course when I go out, I try not to have big portions and fill my boots the way that I used to. But equally, if I do have something that I just feel like having just because, for example, it's a birthday and I really just want to have a bit of birthday cake or whatever it is, I find that I'm much more mindful now, whereas before I would literally just have as much as I wanted. I really think before I eat, which is really good. And also, I think this is the longest I've probably lasted on a plan, because before what would happen would be that I would get to maybe a Saturday, I would have a takeaway, I'd go out, I'd have drinks, and then Sunday I'd feel terrible, I'd have another takeaway, and then it gets to Monday and you almost feel like you've ruined the whole thing. And I know that speaking to a lot of you guys over on Instagram, you've said the same thing, where you fall off the plan and then that's you kind of just go back to old habits again, and you just ruined like all your hard work. So I've been trying to do this thing where in the plan they talk about it being like candidates. So the candidate is you as the person that you are before the plan, which is like bad habits, all that kind of stuff, picking poor choices, not looking after yourself, eating without being mindful, all those kind of traits. And then you've got the one that you want to be, which is like health queen, looking after what I'm doing, having everything in moderation, all that kind of stuff. So every time you make a good choice, which if it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm being really good, thinking about what I'm eating, but then I have a meal on a Saturday that wasn't part of that plan, I've had all these votes in this box for the candidate that I want to be versus just one choice in this box, and it's trying to make sure that you then don't let that one choice ruin all that work. And I think that's such a good way of like implanting that in my brain, so that I don't then just go, oh well, to hell with it, I'll just do whatever I want. So that has been such a good lesson for me. Another thing that I've definitely noticed that I do, and this is probably me opening up quite a bit on here, and it is kind of like, I do feel like there's a lot of shame and guilt that comes with it, but I am absolutely a binge eater and I'll eat in private, and there's loads of things that I do that almost in my mind I feel like because other people haven't seen me eating that thing, it's like it didn't exist. So if you went into my car, there would be like a wrapper in a glove box or down the side of the door, or wrappers in my bag of things that I would have on my own that I'd be guilty and feel bad about eating in front of other people. So things like a share bag of chocolate that I'll just munch when I'm on the dancing run, things like that I would just have because I was almost just like being completely greedy and bingey, but then I would never tell anyone that I'd done that, and in my head it was like all this shame and guilt around that. And sometimes I would just go in the kitchen and find myself standing just eating things out of a drawer just for the sake of it, and it's almost like I would do it out of distraction rather than actually facing what it was. And I know a lot of people say they do the same thing where they eat through comfort because they feel bad about themselves, and the thing is, we all know that's counterproductive, because if you're eating more because you're sad about how much weight you've put on, then you're only going to put on more weight. But at the time it just feels like that's a really good solution. So I've really tried to look more inwardly and follow the programme. There's a whole toolbox that you can listen and read articles that tell you about how your mind works associating itself with food, and I found that's really been helpful for me. There's a whole article on a website that I've been on talking about binge eating, talking about how binge eating is more like a sort of disorder, and my disordered eating is definitely the reason why I put on so much weight. I find that really useful, and I think that when you've got these problems, admitting to it first of all is like the hardest part. So now that I've got that, and I'm trying not to do the whole like secret eating thing, because I could honestly have been a candidate in that programme before doing all this, then that has been a huge improvement. Another thing is like setting boundaries with friends. So typically food does, you know, fall under the category of being quite sociable, especially now that I've got kids and I'm going out for lunches with friends and stuff like that. and it can always be the whole coffee and cake thing. I do have that occasionally, but I then also feel like it's not a big deal to have those things because I'm really good other days of the week. So there's not this like all or nothing approach. It's more just like trying to fit everything into your lifestyle. And I'm also much more aware of how much water I'm drinking and also my caffeine intake. So before I would have like 3 or 4 coffees in a day, and generally speaking my brain goes coffee and cake. So whenever I have a coffee, I'm always looking for something to have with it. So I have one coffee in the morning and then that's pretty much me. If I have another one, I definitely make sure it's decaf. There's been a lot of science behind the caffeine addiction versus food addiction situation, and definitely for me cutting out a lot of caffeine has been really helpful. Also helped to improve my sleep pattern as well, and a lot of caffeinated drinks I've really tried to cut them out entirely and drink a lot of water. You guys might have seen over my Instagram, I'm always talking about this bottle. It's an insulated bottle that I use and it just makes drinking water so much easier. For me it's just a habit to get into. Just fill that a few times a day, carry it around with me, make sure I'm topped up on my water, and then it also curbs a lot of my cravings for food. But certainly the binge eating has been more of a mental battle than actually a physical battle, and there's a rule that we do where it's like we stop and we think for 15 minutes, like, do I actually want that? Walk away from it, and then if you really want it after 15 minutes, come back. But then what we've actually been doing as well is talking about like non-food rewards. So for example, clothes. Like I'm so clothes driven. You guys will know, doing hauls on my channel, all that kind of stuff. It's my favourite types of videos to make, but obviously that's also a struggle for me because at the moment I feel like nothing really fits me right. So it's actually affecting what I can make and all my content that I can make because I'm not feeling right in myself. So that's like another sort of like non-food goal or non-food reward that I can use, is I can go and get some new clothes and I really feel good about myself. We went out not long ago to the races and I got a dress and I felt really good in it because I lost a little bit of weight, I was feeling more confident, I was holding myself better, and I just felt much better going out knowing that I'm not really self-conscious. Like that's such a massive part of being happy in yourself. It's like your confidence, isn't it? So going out that day I felt really confident, I was happy with what I was wearing, I felt comfortable and I had a really good time. So try to always remember that when I then go to have like a big bingey day. I don't do it because I know that I'm going to feel really bad. And also another thing is trying to make sure that we don't buy in things like share bags of crisps or share bags of chocolate. Like, we really have been quite good at not doing any of that. Even over a weekend, sometimes we would say, right, let's go and we'll go down to the shop and we'll buy some stuff in, and we kind of just fill our boots and we get home and we put all the snacks out and we just sit and eat and we watch movies. But actually now we're not doing any of that, so we're kind of, it's much easier when you're doing it together. So for me, it's like me and Fraser have been doing it at the same time, and the kids have kind of just been falling into that as well. So it's much easier when you're at home not to make the poor choice because there's none of that around you anyway. One of the best things about this app I think is actually when you open up the page and you go to the chat for the day, one of the check-ins you can go to is, it says here, hi Ash, have you been struggling with emotional eating? Emotional eating happens when you use food to soothe or suppress your emotions. So you can check in, and actually this is so interesting, right? I eat when I'm stressed or when I have something to do. I do it as like a coping mechanism for avoiding responsibility, right? So it says here, you eat food when you're stressed, anxious, lonely, happy, tired, bored or angry. That's like the main options here. So if I was to say I eat food when I'm stressed and then I click on it, you can actually watch videos that tell you how to manage your stress and a stress bucket tool, and also like a mindful eating exercise you can do. So you can watch these videos.
Hi, my name is Grace and I'm a registered associate nutritionist and health coach here at Second Nature. When we're feeling a little bit bored, we're likely to be feeling a bit
So that's like a 5-minute video you can sit and watch and really put things in perspective. You know, sometimes you just need somebody to put brakes on you and make you stop doing like making the poor choice. These are really good for that. Really interesting to go through that. And then also we've got our tracker, so it's showing me my weight loss here, which is actually more. I need to register my weight back in because I've lost another 2 pounds, which is amazing. I actually look at this and think, God, I can't believe how like long ago that feels like when I've started it. So I've got my weight here, and then I've also got the chat function, so you can go into the other communities and go into recipes, and people have got in lots and lots of different recipes. We've got someone here that's posted 6 hours ago about making some muffins. So I've joined the community, so I've got more than just my group chat and my coach chat have also got a community, which I imagine it kind of a bit like Instagram. You go in there, or more like Facebook, you go in and there's like people that write posts, or they'll post their food, or they'll ask for a recipe, and then you can go into the comments and see all the recipes. It's really good, so that I find is really helpful for finding things to make. And then a lot of people are putting on like different ideas for different meals to make. It's really helpful. And then you can search the post, so you can literally just write in something like soup, and then all the soups will come up. Although you do also have in your toolbox, you've got a recipes section, so it will show you all the new recipes that you can try. So there's a smoky sausage casserole, a chicken, lemon and tomato rice tray bake. So I'm overall finding it really easy to navigate now that I've got my wits about me with what I can and can't have. As long as it's a general rule of thumb that you watch your portion control, like make sure your size isn't too big, but make sure you've got half your plate with either leafy greens, vegetables, salads, anything like that, and then the other portion you want to split in another half. Quarter of it will be like fats and protein, and then the other quarter will be your carbs. So I think that's much more manageable. And actually for me, a lot of the time if I'm having a stir fry, I don't try and put the carbs in it, just so that I feel like I've saved on that meal, because I'm still programmed into the first reset week where we did only one meal of the day to have carbs in it. So I think that's really helpful. But I hope that you guys enjoy listening to all of this and you find it quite useful. If anyone wants to try Second Nature, you can do. I'll leave details in the description below. I know I spoke about it before, a few of you have started as well, so that's really good. But I'd like to share more of my recipes over on my Instagram page, which is at Mama Reid. I'll make sure I put loads of healthy options on there, because this is the time of year, like April time, when everyone tries to get on it with the diets and make sure that we sort of like, you know, make sure we're feeling good for summer. And it is easier as the weather gets better to make sure we're having healthier meals. So I hope you find that interesting, and I'll make sure I post loads of stuff over there. But yeah, have a lovely day guys. I hope you've enjoyed listening, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.